Hello, Morongo Basin and listeners around the world online at Z107.7 FM.com. Here is the Z107.7 Local News for Tuesday, June 11th, 2024. The suspect in a Joshua Tree assault was arrested at a Banning hospital days after the alleged violent incident. On May 28th, San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputies responded to a report of a violent family dispute in the 62,000 block of 29 Palms Highway in Joshua Tree. Deputies say that James Granger, a resident of 29 Palms, had been using drugs and was awake for 3 days when he arrived at his father-in-law's home. They say that Granger threatened to kill the victim, then grabbed a knife out of his car. Deputies report that the victim retrieved a baseball bat in self-defense and Granger fled on foot. Deputies searched Granger's car and say they found a knife sheath and a methamphetamine pipe, but no arrests were made. 3 days later, on May 31st, Granger was at San Gorgonio Hospital in Riverside County, where he was contacted by Banning police officers, who placed him under arrest for the outstanding warrant related to the May 28th assault. The reason why Granger was at the hospital is not known. James Granger was arrested and has been expedited to the West Valley Detention Center this week, where he will be arraigned in San Bernardino County Court on charges related to assault with a deadly weapon and making criminal threats. He is currently being held without bail. Members from the Protect California Deserts Coalition met last night to give an overview of the proposed Chuckwalla National Monument located south of Joshua Tree National Park, which also served as a primer for a BLM-led community meeting happening this Friday in Indio. Online news editor Robert Hayden was there and has this story.
The Chuckwalla National Monument will be over 600,000 acres of newly protected land alongside an expansion of Joshua Tree National Park. That's the hopes of the Protect California Deserts Coalition, who gathered last night to discuss the proposed monument, answer questions, and prep supporters of the project for a meeting this Friday held by the Bureau of Land Management. The coalition is made up of local organizations like the Native American Land Conservancy, National Parks Conservation Association, the Morongo Basin Conservation Association, Cal Wild, and the Mojave Desert Land Trust, who also hosted the info session. It went over the land that would be protected, which includes critical desert tortoise habitat and areas expanding on the national park's eastern borders near the Eagle Creek mine. The coalition hopes that boosters of the project will take their support down the hill to the Riverside County Fairgrounds, where the Department of the Interior will be holding the possibly only public meeting on the nascent public lands. Anyone coming down to the meeting will have 2 minutes to publicly show their support or opposition to the project. Some of those opposed include local miners with claims in the area and off-road enthusiasts concerned with areas being closed off once national monument protections are granted. Supporters are hoping that declaration will come using the Antiquities Act of 1906, which skirts the lengthy legislative process by using a presidential proclamation to declare the land a national monument. Ultimately, the greatest opposition the Chuckwalla National Monument may face is time. Former President Trump used the Antiquities Act once during his presidency, whereas President Biden has used it 8 times so far. He also reversed a 2017 executive order by then-President Trump, which shrunk Utah's Bears Ears National Monument by 85% and Grand Staircase Escalante by 50%, which at the time was the largest removal of national monument protections ever ordered by a sitting president. The public meeting is this Friday from 10 to noon in Indio, but supporters are urged to show up earlier. We'll have the info on where to RSVP for the event at this story on our website, Z107.7FM.com. Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Robert Hayden.
At their meeting tonight, the 29 Palms City Council will proclaim June 19th as Juneteenth and June as LGBTQ Month. The council will also recognize Larry Bowden for his service as interim city manager and receive a presentation by Rediscover 29. Reporter Hillary Sloan has more on what else you can expect at tonight's meeting.
The 29 Palms City Council meeting will cover several key issues, including amendments to the city's master fee schedule and proposed budget revisions for the capital projects funds, special revenue funds, and the successor agency fund for the fiscal year 2024-2025. Additionally, the council will consider a recommendation to transfer $70,000 from the general fund to the sewer fund, among other financial decisions. The meeting will also include an update on the solid waste and recycling program and re-evaluate funds allocated to portable showers and the Navigation Center. The meeting will be held tonight at 6 p.m. at City Hall, 6136 Adobe Road. For Z107.7, this is reporter Hillary Sloan.
The Yucca Valley Planning Commission will be picking up their discussion on mobile food vendors. Here is reporter Adeline J. Wells with that and more on tonight's meeting.
The Yucca Valley Planning Commission will review the ground disturbing permit policy. Implemented in August 2022, the town's current policy states that all ground disturbing projects requiring a building permit must submit a native plant permit and a desert native plant specialist report. Town staff has proposed changes that would allow applicants to submit plans without the latter report, pending documentation that there are no western Joshua trees within 150 feet of the project. The change would exempt applicants from paying the third-party cost. The Planning Commission will also continue their conversation regarding regulations for mobile food vendors and vending vehicles. At their regularly scheduled meeting on May 7th, the Commission considered potential parameters for vendors to operate legally on private and designated public property. The discussion will resume this evening before the land development update. Tonight's meeting is open to the public and begins at 6 p.m. at the Yucca Valley Community Center. Reporting for Z107.7, this is Adeline J. Wells.
The Morongo Unified School District Board of Trustees will hold their regular meeting tonight at 6 p.m. at Joshua Tree Elementary. Assignment reporter Gabriel Hart has a look at tonight's agenda.
The board will hold 3 public hearings. First, for the 2024-25 Local Control and Accountability Plan, to set goals, plan actions, and leverage resources to meet those goals to improve student outcomes. Second, for the 2024-25 proposed budget and fund balance. And third, for the proposed 2024-25 SELPA, or Special Education Local Plan Area, Local Plan, to include the annual budget and service plan. On the consent agenda, the board will review 8 board policy and administrative regulations, including one regarding student questioning and apprehension by law enforcement, which retains the right of the principal to ascertain whether an officer is acting pursuant to Section 625 of the California and Welfare Code, though removes the right to question officers' reasonable cause to proceed. The board is requested to revise the Memorandum of Understandings regarding multiple MUSD positions, updating job descriptions of nutritional service workers, campus safety supervisors, and health technicians. The board will vote on the approval of the textbook Voices, an ethnic studies resource that examines the experiences and contributions of Indigenous, Black, Latino, Pacific Islanders, and Asian Americans. Reporting for Z107.7, this is Gabriel Hart.
And finally, at tonight's 6 p.m. meeting of the Bighorn Desert View Water Agency, directors will hold a public workshop and consider an emergency water supply agreement. Reporter Mike Lipsitz is here with the details.
Following a public workshop, directors are expected to fix and adopt the fiscal 2024-2025 Water Agency budget. Also tonight, directors are expected to approve a mutual emergency water supply agreement with Yucca Valley's High Desert Water District. Tonight's meeting takes place at the agency's board meeting office under the old water tower on Cherokee Trail in Landers. Remote participation is also an option. See this story at Z107.7fm.com for a link to the complete agenda and instructions on remote attendance. Reporting for Z107.7 News, this is Mike Lipsitz.
That's our local news. Hear local news 7 times a day, 7 days a week at 7, 8, 9, noon, 4, 5, and 6. If you hear news happening, let us know about it. Email us at tips@z1077fm.com. Reporting for the Morongo Basin News Leader, the award-winning Z107.7 Local News, I'm Jeff Harmetz.